Alright YouTube, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. I've been collecting watches since early 2022, but I've owned wristwatches for about 10 years of my life now. And in that time, 7 of those years I spent owning only one watch, a black Fossil Townsman automatic that my mother gifted me. And I wore that watch through the majority of my career. If you guys are curious about that story, I have a video detailing or discussing that goes into greater detail. But today's video is going to be about the top 10 watches that I would buy if money was no object. And if I was starting from scratch, if I was starting over and I had unlimited funds, this is what I would buy. This is kind of like my dream list. This is definitely subject to change. In fact, when I was going through this list before filming this video, I actually did swap out one of the watches for something else that I saw recently that I liked a lot more. So without further ado, let's actually get into it. The first watch that I would buy would be the Grand Seiko SBGW 311. The Grand Seiko SBGW 311 is a US exclusive release for Grand Seiko, and it is honestly one of the most beautiful watches that Grand Seiko makes, in my opinion. Of all of the watches in their collection, there's something about the way that that dial seems to catch the light to where it deviates between a very light green and a like tessellated, very uniquely patterned gray dial as well. The finishing, or the way the dial is made, is just absolutely eye-catching, and it's hard to look away from. Every time I walk into a Grand Seiko boutique and ask to see that watch, which is just about every time I walk in there, I'm always kind of hypnotized by that specific dial. Additionally, the watch is really cool to me because it's one of Grand Seiko's manual wind entries into the catalog, and something about that to me just really seems really awesome. I don't own any manual wind watches right now, but if I were to get a manual wind watch in the future, then this would probably be the one. It's currently retailing for about $5,900 right now USD. Which is pretty steep and not something I'm willing to spend my money on at the moment, but who knows, maybe one day I can get my hands on one of those. The next watch that I want to talk about is a watch that I already own, and the reason that I'm bringing it up in this list is because it's always been my grail watch. I'm very proud to have it, and ever since I have owned it, I have been 100% satisfied with it, and it is this watch right here. Let me get it out of the box. It's my Rolex Submariner, the modern reference, the 126610LN. And I mean, this is the millionth video that somebody has done on a Rolex Submariner. I've done videos on the Submariner in the past. I've had this watch for a little bit over a year now, and I gotta say, it is still in pristine condition. Despite taking it to the range and doing all the things with it, and treating it a bit more roughly than I otherwise should. But at the same time, it was designed as a tool watch. It was always designed to be taken to deep depths, and people have worn this watch in very adverse circumstances, and it is just such a stylish, good-looking piece. Now granted, the Submariner is Rolex's most iconic and probably the most ubiquitous Rolex out there. Whenever you're walking down the street, you'll probably see someone wearing one of these, either one of these or the no-date version, or a watch that takes a lot of design cues from this. But there's something to be said about a watch that is so frequently copied by other brands and so frequently worn by so many types of individuals that it really speaks to just how good it is. Like, yes, you know, people can say that it may be overdone. People can say that it may be, like, people can say that it's not unique, but at the same time, right, like, you know, uniqueness isn't necessarily a positive thing. Uniqueness isn't necessarily a good trait, always. Sometimes it's better to go with the thing that you know works, the thing that you know is reliable or high quality, that is a known commodity, and the Rolex Submariner to me is exactly that. So at the end of the day, like, I don't really care whether or not, you know, there's a million Rolex Submariners out there, or I see, you know, 20 other people wearing it every single day. This one is mine. I love it to death, and if I had to do it all over again, I would put myself back on the list for this piece. The next watch that I want to talk about is one that, if I'm being real here, I'll probably never own in my lifetime, especially because of the things that I've said about the brand in the past, but this is the Patek Philippe 5712/1R, the self-winding Nautilus with an analog date, a moon phase, a power reserve indicator, and a sub-seconds dial. When I was visiting my girlfriend, we went into a Patek Philippe authorized dealer, and we had a sit down with the salesperson there, and they had a couple variants of the Nautilus, the Aquanaut, and the new Cubitus on display. I tried them all on, tried on every single watch, including the Cubitus, which I've talked about before on the channel. And as a side note, I've actually changed my mind about the Cubitus because, you know, in a previous video, I like really took a dump on that thing and I called it ugly. But when I tried it on the wrist, I was like very impressed. That was not my first time trying on a Patek Philippe either, but that was my first time trying on a Cubitus, and I gotta say, I think it looks pretty good. I would probably buy that if I had the money. But back to the point here. The 5712, when I tried that watch on, was mind-bogglingly beautiful. The finishing on it, the polished center links, the integrated bracelet, the sizing of the case, the thinness of the case, considering the complications that it's equipped with, just was so gorgeous to me. It is such a gorgeous watch. There is, I honestly don't see how anybody can really hate on the aesthetics of that watch, because in my mind, like, when I tried that on, I didn't even like really pay any sort of mind to the 5712 prior to trying it on in that authorized dealer. But when I did, the memory of trying that watch on was singed into my mind. Like, it is just such a beautiful piece, and there's just nothing else I can say about it, you know. If one day I get lucky enough, maybe I'll be able to get that watch, but that's a long time coming. That's a long way away. I'll have to see. Maybe we'll get there, maybe we won't. The next watch is another Rolex, and it's one that I also have in my collection, and I just did a video about this, so if you haven't already guessed what it is, it's the Explorer 2 226570. Again, the modern reference. All of my Rolexes are the modern reference, and this one, to me, I've already talked ad nauseum about this, but if I had to start all over and money was unlimited, I would still pick this up, because this was my first Rolex. I grew a very special attachment to it, and, you know, that aside, speaking in a hypothetical sense, if I were to start over, I would go for this, because I feel like this watch represents me really well. I just feel very connected to the design of this. I am obviously not a speleologist. I don't go cave exploring, but I love traveling. I love seeing new places. I love seeing new things. And, you know, wearing this watch, being able to track its second time zone, tracking the time zone of the people that I care about, like, that's something that matters to me. And this watch is perfect for all of those things, for exploring, for keeping track of your loved ones, it's just such an amazing piece. It's so gorgeous, especially with the white dial. And yeah, I would buy this again in a heartbeat. The following watch is one that I saw recently in the authorized dealer, and it's another Grand Seiko, and it's very similar to the SPGW 311, but this is the SPGW 299 Golf. This essentially has the same exact dimensions and specifications as the 311. However, this one has a different dial design. The dial design on this one is sort of a sunburst, like a sunburst lined blue pattern. And when I saw this in the authorized dealer, like, the pictures of this watch really just don't do it any sort of justice at all. When I saw this in the AD, I was very, very attracted to it. I gotta say, like, I just really liked the way that watch looked. And again, it's manual wind. You have to interact with it every single day in order to keep it wound and keep it accurate. And there's something really romantic about that idea, and something just very cool about interacting with that piece and keeping it alive. It's almost like, this is going to sound really nerdy, but it's almost like a Tamagotchi for adults, you know? It's like a Tamagotchi for grown-ups. Again, I can't believe I just said that, but that's the closest analogy that I can think of when it comes to, you know, manual wind watches. In my mind, and when I look at this piece, it reminds me of a 5711 from Patek, but the styling of it, you know, the design language is completely different, but the blue dial with the stainless steel bracelet and stainless steel case in the 44 GS design that Grand Seiko pioneered, it just fits so well in that 36.5 millimeter form factor. It is so beautiful and so freaking gorgeous. I can't say enough about how much I like this watch, and if it were between, honestly, if it were between a standard 5711 Nautilus and one of these, I would pick this one every single time, because I find it more aesthetically appealing than the standard baseline Nautilus, and it's way freaking cheaper too. A standard Nautilus, I think, goes for around $70,000 on the gray market, and this goes for $5,600. So relatively, it's way, way cheaper. The next watch that I want to talk about is going to be the Datejust 41 in either the black or mint green dial. Now, I have the black dial here, and this is currently my dress watch. It is not necessarily a dress watch by any means. It doesn't have a leather band. It is not time only, and the sizing of it being 41 millimeters makes it slightly just on the edge of being able to fit under a dress cuff. However, for me, wearing this whenever I do put on a dress shirt, not that that happens very often anymore, but whenever I do, I'm able to slip this under the cuff. It wears well on my wrist. I like the polished center links on it. For this design, especially being a completely polished case, it is completely appropriate to have polished center links, and it just adds to the beauty of the watch, in my opinion. It's such a looker. I actually get more compliments on this watch than I do on my Submariner, my Explorer 2. So I would say that this is actually the flashiest watch that I own, despite it not being the most expensive. And the next watch that I want to talk about is the one that I'm wearing right now. It's the Tudor Pelagos 39. I've again waxed poetic about this watch before. It is just a very simple, straightforward titanium time-only dive watch with a T-fit clasp and a really, really nice bracelet. This thing is an absolute scratch magnet. I don't know if you guys can see it in the light, but in the year or so, in the 11 months or so that I've owned this, this has accumulated a ton of scratches all over the bracelet and all over the clasp. But with that being said, this watch and its predecessors were designed as tool watches. They were designed to be, you know, beaten up, taken in harsh environments, and they were made to survive. The, you know, forerunner to the Pelagos was the Tudor Submariners that Tudor made back in the early 20th century, or back in the mid 20th century or so. The Tudor Submariners were issued to members of the US Navy, other members of the US military, and I believe also a couple units from units in like the UK military. I'd have to verify that, but I'm not exactly sure. But regardless, the Tudor Pelagos line in general is a continuation of that legacy, and it's kind of paying homage to those Tudor Submariners that came before. I would choose this watch again because the way that it sits on my wrist, the way that it just, you know, works reliably, it does what it needs to do, it tells the time accurately, and it looks good while doing it. There's no arguing that point. You know, again, having an unlimited budget, you could probably buy anything else in the world. I could probably, you know, if you had an unlimited budget, you could probably buy 10 Rolex Submariners. You could get a stainless steel one, a solid gold one, the white gold one, like whatever, right? But it's also nice to know that you have something as rugged and as durable as this, that you don't mind scratching up, that you don't mind beating up, and even more so, will look better over time as it gets scratched and as it gets worn in. I genuinely like the fact that this watch shows its wear so elegantly, because it becomes mine. It becomes mine in the process, and it develops a sort of uniqueness to it that no other Tudor Pelagos 39 can replicate. The next watch is a watch from an independent brand called Sangin Instruments, and it is the Kinetic 2 in titanium, and it's a limited edition that Sangin only made 100 reference number. They only made 100 serial numbers of. It's the Kinetic 2 Titanium GBRS edition. Now, GBRS Group is, for those who don't know, is a company founded by two former Navy SEALs, Cole Fackler and DJ Shipley, and they provide, you know, educational content. They provide firearms reviews, and the stuff that they do for, you know, the special operations community, various charities, and the wider military and law enforcement community as a whole, I think is fairly commendable. Those guys are tier 1 operators. They've seen stuff, they've been through a lot in their careers, and they know what they are talking about. Those dudes are legit, and there's been some controversy in the past regarding GBRS Group, regarding some allegations that were made against you know, the founders and the company in general, but those allegations were thrown out. Their name has been cleared, and I fully stand behind the people at GBRS, their mission statement. I appreciate the products they make. My gun belt behind me is made by GBRS. It's the Assaulter V3, and it's an absolutely phenomenal gun belt. I love that thing. But about the watch, right? GBRS and Sangin Instruments collaborated on a timepiece together, and they spec'd that thing the hell out. I'm pretty sure that thing, it was grade 2 titanium. It was a Le Joux movement that was regulated to 0 to 5 seconds a day, and it has a time and date function, as well as a GMT and a diver's bezel. So it's a super, super spec'd out watch. It's water resistant to like 1,000 meters or something crazy. And it comes in at around, or it came in at around $1,500 to $1,600. So it's outperforming watches that are multiples in price, like the Submariner, like the Tudor Pelagos, but it's doing it at a fraction of the cost. And the Cerakote, the FDE Cerakote job on that watch is just absolutely killer. I freaking love that thing. I tried to get it over the holidays, but it was a raffle system and I wasn't able to get a winning number, so it is what it is. It sold out. I'll probably never see that watch again. But yeah. The next watch on the list that I would buy if I had the money is a Rolex Root Beer, the GMT Master 2 126715 CHNR. The full Root Beer, in my opinion, is the most gorgeous rendition of Rolex's GMT Master 2 watch. There is, in my opinion, no better looking GMT Master 2 that Rolex makes, period. Like, I feel like I should just stop there. Like, there's nothing else that I can say about that watch other than it's just so good looking. It's got a full rose gold construction, beautiful brown and black bezel. It's just so freaking good looking, and I would wear the crap out of that thing. Every time I watch one of Alpha M's videos and he's got that thing on his wrist, I am so jealous. I want that watch so badly. It is so good looking. The final watch is another one that I will probably never be able to get in real life, but maybe one day I could make it happen for myself, and that is the sorry for the bad pronunciation, by the way, but it's the Lange and Söhne Little Lange 1 in either a silver or black dial. This is a highly complicated watch for a simple dude like me. This watch has a it tells the time, obviously. It has a date function, it has a power reserve indicator, and I believe a small seconds subdial. Again, that's kind of complicated for a dude like me, but at the same time, you know, if I could ever get to that level, I'm sure that I would learn to take care of it. Something about Lange and Söhne and their design language really speaks to me. I just think it's so unique, and there's just nothing else really like it out there for watches that are, you know, for stuff that's made in, the Germans just make some cool things, right? They make HK pistols. They make the M27 that gets issued to the grunts. They make Mont Blanc pens, you know, like, and Lange and Söhne is right up in that same alley where it's just super stylized. It's got a unique design language. It's over-engineered. It's just so beautiful, you know? And the black variant, or the black dialed variant in platinum, dude, that is a freaking stunner of a watch. And if I had the money right now, I would buy that thing in a heartbeat. I swear. So gorgeous. Additionally, Lange and Söhne is, like Patek Philippe, known for taking the finishing of their movements to the absolute next level and just maxing that out. I would love to, I would not be able to stop like turning the watch over, taking it off my wrist, turning the watch over, and just admiring the movement for hours on end. It's just that good looking of a movement, I swear to God. But with all of this being said, because I've been talking for a while now, I have to reiterate the fact that, you know, money is an object for me. A lot of these watches I will probably never get the chance to own. And, you know, right now I'm pretty happy with the collection that I have. But this for me was just a fun little exercise of, like, you know, what could I do if money was no object? So at the end of the day, I think the most important thing is to appreciate what we have, appreciate how far we've come in our own like individual watch journeys, I guess, and understand that, you know, it's great to have goals in mind. It's great to have goals, but there's also a really, really calming sensation of content that comes over you when you look at what you currently have right now, and you can appreciate that. So with that being said, I want to know what your guys's watches would be if money was no object. What would you buy first? What would you avoid? And I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say in the comments below. Let me know. I'll see you guys soon. Take care.